The Polaris Slingshot is one of the most memorable vehicles you'll drive in your lifetime because of two things. One, it's fun as hell, and two, it's also very scary. This is lightweight, it's low to the ground, and it's open top. This is the closest thing you have in the United States to driving a road legal open wheel race car. I mean, you see the tires through the fenders right in front of you. And for clarification, this isn't a car. It's not a motorcycle either. This is a three-wheeled motorcycle, and in some states, it's considered an autocycle. And in New Jersey, a helmet is required. And fair warning to all of the introverts and shy people out there, do not buy this thing because the amount of attention you'll draw will be straight up discomforting. If you love attention though, you'll find every waking opportunity to drive this thing. The closest thing the Slingshot looks like is either an open wheel race car or the older KTM Crossbow, not the new one, which looks equally insane. The front end looks like a Transformer's face, and you can tell the Slingshot R version, which is what this is, by the extra front splitter, the vented sport hood, these accent panels, the extra lighting, and also the forged roll bars. Altogether, all of the extra R-specific components make this thing look even more aggressive than it already is. The wheels are forged aluminum, and it's 18 inches in the front. There's pretty good brake hardware with the 4-piston Brembo calipers as well, and you get a 20-inch wheel at the rear. So the red accents actually are nice additions to this more subdued nightfall color scheme. And as for the tires themselves, this has pretty aggressive tread pattern designed to wick away a lot of the moisture on the ground. They sort of remind me of the intermediate tires for Formula One cars. There's just a lot of channels to drive all of that water away. And continuing on at the back, you see these roll bars. Just like I mentioned earlier, this is a nicer looking roll bar compared to the base S version, which looks like it's something you ripped out of a kid's playground. But this thing looks much beefier, much more modern. I still would wear a helmet though, and it is required in some states because in the event of a rollover, you still want that extra protection. Inside, the Slingshot is more function over form. There's not a lot of frills to be found. There's bare exposed tubes like you're in a race car. There's a lot of hard plastics like in a golf cart. And if you don't garage this thing, the inside will look like the outside. Surprisingly, there's a good amount of storage in this smaller autocycle. First of all, underneath the armrest, you could just lift this up. And I like the rubber seals around this thing so that as long as you firmly close this thing, everything inside should stay dry. The same goes for the storage behind the seat. With this lockable storage, again, everything has a nice rubber seal to it, and it's big enough to store a motorcycle helmet. There's more of the same storage behind the passenger seat and the lockable glove box as well. And then you have two cup holders, and there's also a USB port. Now, when it comes to the driving experience, this car feels pretty raw. It's powered by a 2-liter engine that is sourced from Polaris, and when you spec this autocycle with the 5-speed manual, the driving experience is even more amplified as you have direct control over where you want to be in the power band. The Slingshot is pretty quick, and all of the power is accessible up high when you have the courage to access it. But if you're hoping for EV beating acceleration, this isn't it. This engine makes 204 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque in a pretty lightweight package of just 1,640 pounds. 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds if you can manage the traction just right. So there is some skill involved if you want to be quick. I do like this 5-speed manual transmission. It's pretty mechanical, it's very notchy. I just love how it clicks into gear, and if you go into reverse without coming to a complete stop, you will grind your gear. So it might look a little embarrassing, just fair warning. It's also one of the scariest and unrefined vehicles you can buy right now. The scary part isn't because of how the Slingshot is designed or the fact that it has 3 wheels. It's the fact that with 3 wheels, your driving experience is much more impacted by the unknown variables of the road. On a track with perfectly smooth surface, a lot of runoff areas, and on a perfectly good day, the Slingshot would feel right at home. But add any rain, any moisture on the road, any expansion joint, any pothole or manhole cover, or any interruption in the road surface, those imperfections provide an opportunity for the rear tire to lose contact with the ground. And apply too much throttle, you could also easily overcome the rear grip even though you have traction control set on. And then go beyond 60, 70 miles per hour on the highway, and you're gonna feel a lot of turbulence in here, especially around your helmet. Now, I don't ride a motorcycle, so I figured some of these gripes and concerns are the same ones that two-wheeled people go through. But if you're coming from a car and jumping into the Slingshot, just know that the only method of putting power to the ground will happily unglue itself from the earth whenever it's given a chance. There are two different driving modes in the Slingshot. There's comfort and there's the sport mode, or what you call the Slingshot mode. Comfort really dials down the throttle response by a lot. It also dials down the amount of fun you can have. Whereas the Slingshot mode is where you should be once you get really comfortable with this car. The Slingshot is also one of the more unrefined cars I have ever tested. It squeaks like a piece of farming equipment that's been left out in the rain for too long. It beeps and chirps like a golf cart. The fenders will flex and vibrate at speed. But then there's also a lot of things that the Slingshot gets right. For example, this thing has power steering, and I know a lot of things have power steering, but considering how bare bones this vehicle can feel, it is pretty surprising, at least to me, that this thing has power steering. So it'll make your life a lot easier when you're driving this thing at slow speeds, so you're not muscling the steering wheel. I do like the materials and the finishes they chose in here. It might have a budget feel to it, but when it's super hot, super sunny outside, you're not going to burn your body on this. It gets warm, obviously, but not scalding hot. Everything is waterproof as well, just like these buttons, all of the electronics. Should you leave it out in the rain? I mean, I wouldn't if I owned it, but it has been designed to withstand the rain. So there are drain holes wherever water might collect. It's almost like Polaris is pretty good at making stuff meant for the outdoors. I mean, imagine that. And then there's just the right amount of electronics in this thing. The speakers get loud enough to hear through your helmet. There's Apple CarPlay and navigation. The infotainment system responds well, aside from the finicky weatherproof buttons sometimes. And then there's also a backup camera because that's required. And as for electronics, that's it, frankly, because you really wouldn't want anything else to distract you from the act of driving. I can't believe the Slingshot has been around for 10 years now. And I remember thinking to myself the first time I saw these things on the road was, wow, that is the dumbest looking vehicle you could ever buy. And also, what self-centered a-hole would buy and drive this thing? But after driving it for a good week or so, I find that those are truly unfair assessments of a really fantastic car. It's got its flaws. Every car has its flaws, but its flaws are what gives it its unique character. If you want something with very little flaws, there are literally dozens of manufacturers out there willing to sell you crossovers of many different sizes. But there's almost very little character in those cars. The Slingshot, on the other hand, is like that fun and rowdy person at the party. It might be a bad idea for you to hang out with them on a daily basis, but damn, do they really know how to have a good time. I want to thank you so much for watching all the way up to this point. If you want to check out my other video reviews, click the link over here. My name is Hanson, and that's the 2025 Polaris Slingshot R, and I'll see you in the next one.